you can live a life in flow where your deepest heart's desires become reality. At Set to Love, we offer strategies and ideas on how you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go. Happy Monday. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Set to Love. I am Eva Payne, and my best friend here, Shelley, is my co-host. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning.
How are you, friend?
So I hope everybody had a good weekend. I know I did. It was really, what's the right word that I'm looking for? It was really, really good because I got a lot of stuff done. I can't think of the word I'm thinking of.
Productive.
That's the word. Exactly. And I know we talked throughout the weekend, and you are so sweet. I think you're like the best mom, because one of the things that you spoke about was Friday's show. And I'm going to kind of put you on the spot because first of all, I think you're an amazing mom and you do so many things right. You're really open with your kids. You let them be who they are. And I know that you know they love you and you're their number one. But I feel like you didn't finish something with our show on Friday. So I want to give you that opportunity so that we could just put that to rest. And,
yes, and I think it's a good topic to talk about. So I was going back over the Friday show because after we're done here, I then take the whole thing and stick it into another program and upload it to iTunes and Spotify and all those places. And so as I was going back through things and I was listening to the end of the show, Friday's show, we had my daughter on, Emmy, and she talked about how she left college to go pursue her career and synchronistically landed it within like 2 days of leaving school. And we're kind of getting to the end and I'm managing the show and doing all this stuff. And you said, Emmy, I'm so proud of you. And I just was like, and okay, blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of went on talking to the audience without acknowledging my daughter and how proud of her I am and how much I love her. And it just felt so weird watching it because I was watching as an observer, as someone, as not the mom. And I thought, well, I can't believe the mom, meaning myself, didn't just say something to her daughter about how proud she is or, thanks for being on the show and sharing your story. Like there's very little from me by way of that. And it just sat so wrong with me. And I had earlier that day posted something about how proud I am of her, not tied because of how the show ended. But it was just, and I tell her all the time, but in that moment, on that show, because we're doing this live, we're just going with it. When I went back and reflected, I thought, dang, I could have said something. I should have taken that moment or that opportunity or really been present and said how proud of her I am and how much I love her. And I just think that as parents, a lot of times, we're in the moment and we're doing the best we can and we're shuffling and juggling all these things. And when we maybe down the road, it might be the next day, it might be a year later, it might be 10 years later, you can reflect and you look back and think, I wonder if I was as present for my kids as I could have been. I could have said that a little bit nicer, or I should have done this. And I think there's no fault in going back and saying you're sorry, or you could have done it better, or just recognizing that you could have been a little bit better of a mom in that moment. And that's what I felt like. And not like I'm a bad mom. I'm not hating on myself or anything. But in that moment, I thought if I could go back, I would probably have said something then. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that and then talk about with you about how being in flow as a mom and being able to catch yourself and like, you're not perfect. There's no mom that's perfect by any means. And but we all do our best. And when we can acknowledge when we think we messed up and own our own stuff, I think that really helps us to find flow. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to
I
talk
know,
about
but
this.
I really felt so bad because I know how you encourage your kids and all of that. But I think the secret to or not the secret, what you did that was really great was that you did reflect back. You know, how about people that just keep going forward and they realized maybe they made a mistake, or that, you know, or didn't even think of it. I just love your heart that you were thinking about Emmy and that you cared about her feelings. But beyond that, I also feel like for my kids too, when I do something I used to years ago, I would say when I was raising them, gosh, I came home in such a bad mood and I yelled at you about something and I'm really, really sorry. Will you forgive me because mommy loves you and I took my stressful day out on you? There's nothing wrong with making a mistake, but the minute you see and that, you are rushing around and you're taking your work day out on your kids and you're stressing about their homework and when everything's going to get done. I feel if you just take that deep breath and recognize that you're freaking out on them and nothing is going to get solved. So for yours, it was a good reason. But I think for the everyday moms, when you get into the hustle and bustle, it's like, just leave the dishes. Who cares about the whole list of stuff? Like you said, be present with your kids. They understand that you get stressed. But I think when you acknowledge that you weren't very nice or forgive me, then that helps them to be those kind of people too, to say, wow, to their brother or sister, I'm sorry, and really mean it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even this morning when Dawson does his school downstairs, one of my twins, and Avery does his school in his room at his desk. And I could hear a phone downstairs on, and it was like 8:07 and school starts at 8:10. And I'm like, Dawson, turn your phone off. Turn the phone off. I'm like just screaming downstairs, get to school. And I could still hear it going. And I come downstairs and he's at the table. His phone's nowhere near him. It's over on the side. And he's like, stop yelling at me. I'm at school. And it was Brayden, my 15-year-old, 14-year-old, almost 15, in the kitchen. He's like, it's me. I'm the one on the phone, Mom. I was like, oh my gosh. And then right then, like that was the moment I just went, Dawson, I am so sorry. Like, you're right. I was wrong. And I think our egos can get in the way sometimes, because even in that moment, even just to apologize for like a second, I had to go, oh wait, I'm totally wrong right here. And so I just had to acknowledge that in the moment. I think sometimes it's hard for us when we want to be right and we're the parent. And my mom, when I remember being younger, she would always say, because I'm the parent, because I said so. And I thought, I am never going to be that parent. And I probably was still that parent, but I do try really hard to explain why I feel a certain way or why I want to lean a certain way towards something or whatever. And then when I do something wrong, like yelling at Dawson for the phone when it wasn't him at all, acknowledging like, yeah, I was wrong. This poor child is like traumatized downstairs because I'm screaming. And I thought, why am I even screaming? Because I was lazy and I didn't want to walk all the way downstairs, but that's on me too. It's not his fault. He's exactly where he should be, doing exactly what he should be doing. So whether it's something I said or didn't say and acknowledging that, or yelling and then pulling back like, oh my gosh, Eva, that was not a mom and flow. So I think it's important that we acknowledge that within ourselves, that we're not perfect and we're really just trying our best.
I agree 100%. My mom used to say, do as I say, not as I do. And that just never made sense to me. Do as I say, not as I do. I used to hate that, but
because you're following their example. You are, like, how they act is, you're gonna kind of pick up some of that stuff. So when my kids start yelling and I'm like, stop yelling, I'm like, well, I yell. So how can I tell them not to yell if I'm the one, if I'm also yelling? I've really cut back on yelling, I think, as I've gotten older. But when I was younger, for sure, that was something. It was just like always yelling. And then I would get mad when they would yell, or I'd get mad when people would yell, but then I'm contributing to it. So that doesn't make any sense either. That's not living in flow. Anything that feels like that resistance, that like, oh, should I be doing this? Or I don't know if that was really the right thing. Just acknowledging it is so important to knowing what feels better and how to show up more wholeheartedly with your kids.
Well, sometimes too, you'll see, when my kids were younger, I would see Brittany say something to Brooke because she's the younger one. And it was 100% me. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know that I really like that. And then I would have, you can self-reflect even in siblings, how they handle a situation. You think, whoa, she got that from me. That's not so good. And, you have to go in and fix where you kind of messed up. But yeah, watching your kids can really teach you a lot about how you're doing.
Isn't
How
it
they
so
handle.
interesting? Like they come to us. I remember, Shelley, let's reflect back on this. I remember bringing Emmy home from the hospital and putting her down in a little car seat in our apartment and like going, okay, now what? Is this real? Am I really in charge of this human? And am I really? And they're so easy at that. And they're not. They're so easy, but it's so not easy because adjusting into being a parent, even in the very beginning with nursing and trying to figure that out, if you're even doing that, with just not sleeping so much. I mean, there's so much adjusting that goes on, but then raising them, it's just such a different, unique challenge. And each kid, they in and of themselves are so unique. I've said that since forever. I don't even know, a long time, that our kids are blueprints, and they come to us like with these sort of built-in like things that they would be really good at, and initial strengths, or things that are more inept to them and their abilities, and then they just have their own interests and desires. And when we can figure out what those things are, and even how they handle discipline differently amongst kids. I mean, I have 6. So being able to see each one, when you have so many kids, you really understand that they just come to you with their own personalities. Wouldn't you agree with that, Shelley?
Well, I do agree with the personalities, but what I'm also thinking that's really positive when you have 6 kids. I can't even imagine. But when you do, what I've observed from people that have a lot of kids, the kids really are helpful with one another. Like this one helps that one. This one helps that one. This one may say, come on, get in the car. And so you're not really having to do all the time. They're like mini moms and dads with the kids because they know the routine, the older ones. And that's why I think sometimes they have unique, close relationships with certain siblings over others, because they were maybe helped and nurtured in a different way, depending on those personalities of the older child helping the younger one. So I think that's a beautiful thing. Not that they don't all really love each other. It's just, don't you find that with your kids that one helps one?
Well, it's like seasons, different seasons for different things. Like Emmy and Coleman, the older 2 were best buddies. And then the middle 2 were best buddies for a really long time, and the twins had each other. Well, what's happened over the last like 6 months or so is one of the twins and one of the middle boys, Evan and Avery, have really gotten close, like hang out all the time. And then Dawson's just off doing his own thing, and Braden's doing his own thing. And now Emmy's gone and Coleman does his thing. But there are these little relationships that come and go, are stronger over time, within the sibling group, at least so far is what I've noticed. I'm sure as they get older and life starts to balance out and everyone's got families, or in life, everyone's where Emmy is, it'll be more even, I guess. But when you have like 8-year-olds and 15-year-olds, or 17-year-olds, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a difference in that. So at least that's what I've noticed.
I love that my girls are super close at this age, and that they make such an effort for their relationship. And when they were young and they would argue, or Brittany was in a different phase than Brooke, and she just wanted to do her own thing, I'd say, stop that fighting. That's your best friend right there,
Right,
and
right.
for them to actually grow
same
up.
thing. I'm like, you guys are each other's best friends. You will be with each other for the rest of your lives.
For the rest of your life,
Learn
so you
to
better
get along.
So, I mean,
what another great show, Shelley. I love
Yes.
spending my mornings with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to own where I could be better in my own motherhood. And I think all of us, when we are can put our egos aside and just think like, what's one thing that I could do better today? What's one way that I could show up a little bit better for my kids, or have a little bit more patience, or a little bit more love or acknowledgement? Just simply saying you love them, you're proud of them. And not to beat yourself up. It wasn't like I was beating myself up over it, but once I recognized it, I thought I just need to make this right. So Emmy Lynn Payne, I love you. I am so proud of you and all of the choices that you're making in your life and just who you are and how you show up in this world. You're an amazing human, and I would buy stock in Emmy Payne if I could.
Me too.
Thanks,
I love Emmy.
And thank you for being our producer and for coming here every morning.
I know.
I'm so grateful for her.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks everyone for coming to another episode of Set to Love. My friend Shelley, I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you. I really appreciate you. We'll be here tomorrow morning at 8:30, and we have a guest tomorrow. We've got a life coach, and her name is Shelley also. So I'm excited to hear from her and how she creates a life in flow. Shelley and I will be interviewing her. So come back tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. for Set to Love. We love you.
There are ways you can support us. Visit us at www.settoLove.com. Want to be featured? Email us at settolovepodcast@gmail.com. Please subscribe, like, or hit the bell. You can go to www.patreon.com/settolove. Have a great day, guys.